The following review might be a little bit gushy. So can you guess what hot new toy I'm going to be covering in this review? That it's the kind of toy that flies through the air, loves the ladies, goes really fast, and is blue. Well, if you guessed right, it's Rainbow Dash. Nah, I'm just kidding. This is what happens when the postman comes before the FedEx lady. So allow me to get rid of this, and we will bring out the actual subject of the review. So this is Yamato's 1/60th scale Perfect Transformation VF-19S Emerald Force Color Blazer Valkyrie, sometimes called the Excalibur as you saw in the book. Either way, it is amazing. Now your first question is going to be, well, what's the difference between this and the previously released VF-19 Kai Fire Valkyrie? Well, the first thing is that it's blue. There's also a couple of new minor changes. For example, here on the leading edge root extension, we actually have a little divot here, which might be for guns. I don't know, they never use them in the show. We have the new head, which has the appropriate 5 laser cannons on the back of the skull there. We have these nice new wings, which I've been told and have experienced are actually really, really sharp, so be careful when handling the toy. And also you lack the canards up near the canopy. Instead we just have this flat panel that has 3 small vents there. And also, as this is a non-music delivery system, it is equipped with the normal GU-15 gun pod. And also rolls very well. Inside the cockpit we have small Lieutenant Docker. This is probably one of the most well detailed as far as paint applications of all of the pilot figures for Valkyrie toys, barring say the VF-0 pilot figures. Also, I feel that it perfectly captures Docker's main character trait, which is he's a huge jerk. So, anyway. So, like the previous Fire Valkyrie, we do get one token anime accuracy option, which was inspired by that Bandai high-low metal VF-19 Blazer Valkyrie I reviewed a while back. And that's just a small little cover that you can stick right in here. And there you go. You have a nice solid blue line leading up all the way to the head. Honestly, I don't really care about this because, especially on this toy, the existing black joint that is exposed normally just fits in with the black detailing on the just of the shoulders and the feet and the ankle cuffs and all of that. So, I don't really care. Now, I do want to emphasize again that this thing is incredibly solid in every single mode. I mean, nothing flips around, and you can just pop the landing gear in very easily. It took them about, what, 8 different toys to get the whole bring the landing gear in and out easily thing right? But yeah, this is just outstanding. The only thing that really isn't locked in place is the leading edge root extensions here, or lurks. Look it up. But really, they're solid enough that unless you actually, bend them yourself, they're really not going to go anywhere, no matter how much you shake the toy. And like the Fire Valkyrie, it does in fact have the opening missile bays on each leg. All you do is you just pop open the bay, and you just pull the missile up a little bit because it's on just a tiny pin right in there. You just flip it over, and flip it like that. And there you go. You got some missiles in fighter mode. Again, you can see it does work in all 3 modes. And as such, we are going to do the transformation into a Gearwalk mode. Now, one thing about these toys that is sort of a blessing and sort of daunting to people who first pick these up, is the number of tabs that is used to keep this thing locked together in fighter mode. Now there's a tab here that keeps each of the tail fins attached to the wings, so you just kind of pull that out. There is actually a tab right here on either side that you have to pull out in order to disengage the wings from the legs. And on the bottom, there's actually a tab between the leg and the main body that you also have to pull out to get the things to separate. And also, you have to untab the legs from the shoulders. You can do that. You just kind of pull it and rotate it, and watch as the shield goes flying off. So I'm just gonna make sure this tab is clear, pull it out, and just kind of disengage it. There we go. It's a lot easier to put these shoulders back onto the leg than it is to take them out. And actually one final set of tabs here is that there's actually one in the thigh that again goes into the wing root. So what we just do is we're gonna fold away the tail fins, and then all you have to do is kind of just put your finger up here and put your finger in the back, sort of right in the knee joint, and you can just, there it goes. It'll slide out pretty easily. You just have to kind of take the tab out, and there you go. Slides out nice and easily. And here we can actually see we have the nice sliding die-cast leg joints for Gearwalk mode. This baby gives some pretty good click. And, oh, again, more tabs. There's actually a tab right here, again, plugging the wings into the main body. And what you just do is you can just undo that. Oh, and again, another tab right here on the codpiece. So once all that's done, you can just kind of lift this up, and then there's just a separate set of slots which allows you to re-tab the upper body back into the wings, which alleviates the problem on the previous YF-19 toys, is that the body just kind of sat above the whole wing area here when you made the switch to Gearwalk mode. And just unfold the feet, and you can just kind of pull them out and they will lock in place. These actually use die-cast ball joints for the ankle joint. So a little different than normal. They usually go with just your basic swivel joints, usually with ratcheting, but these are pretty solid, I found. And we're just going to bring the arms forward. We're going to bring this joint out here. You can see it's basically got kind of a double joint around here. There's a sleeve on the bicep that you just bring out right over the joint. And do it again on this side. Just bring the sleeve out over the joint. And we're going to just pop open the interior of the forearm. Get your finger in there and pull out one hand, pull out another hand, and finally along this long joint here, which I believe is also die cast, feels pretty good. Seems kind of odd that the Bandai VF High Metal seems to have less metal than this thing. Even proportionally, there's a lot more metal in this toy than there was in that High Metal. Okay, so just kind of bring the arms down, and they are just going to bump into the whole wing root right here. That's just how the design works, and you can just flip down these flaps on the rear of the shoulders, and there's also another set of flaps in here that expose some thrusters underneath. Okay, so here we go. We're going to pose him in the proper gearwalk A stance thanks to a couple of swivels in the thighs. And we're gonna stick his gun right into his hand. There's basically just a tab in the handle that goes into the, there's a tab on the palm, it goes into a hole in the handle, which allows you to put the gun in securely. And you do, this is the shield for transformation. You see it has two pairs of pegs so that it can help lock the arms together in fighter mode. It also comes with a more anime accurate shield, and I have to just point out that these shields are a little different. Obviously they are different from each other, but they're also different from the Fire Valkyrie shield, which has a yellow arrow right up here instead of just this little detailing right there. I mean, this is a nice option. I mean, you obviously can't use it for fighter mode because it has the tabs just more centered, so, and it always goes on the left arm. But you know, for me personally, this isn't different enough that I really want to use it. So I'm just going to go with the regular transformation shield, which again still looks pretty good and looks in there pretty securely. And of course you can actually bend this guy down a little bit at the knees to get the more aggressive gearwalk stance. So also it helps that a lot of the die cast in this thing is actually centered in the back, so it manages to balance out the kind of long front end of the gearwalk mode. And also, look at this. Look at how solid this thing is. It's amazing. Nothing will go anywhere, no matter how much you shake it. It's just great. It is awesome. So I'm sure some people are wondering now. You have this nice big GU-15 gun pod, which is of course the same one as the YF-19. Oh, it's actually also for fighter mode. There's this little collapsible foregrip. You just kind of get your fingernails into this groove here and you pull it out. I just found out about that today. So how does this compare to the one that comes with the original YF-19 toys? Well, it's a bit bigger. Also, the little sensor in the front is just a painted red part instead of a clear jewel, which, you know, you can't even tell that's red because it's red on top of gray plastic, so it doesn't really have a shine to it. So good job there, Yamato. You managed to fix a little mistake. Okay, so we're going to come to the big show, which is Bataroid mode. And this is where the toy really, really shines, because the Bataroid mode conversion is, again, really, really solid. I mean, this is just something that is fun to do, it's cool, and it just comes together very nicely. So what we can do, I'm gonna prep the front a little bit. So you just bring up the lurks and you slide it back. You see it actually slides back on the joint there. And just do it here as well on this side. And I gotta say, compared to the Fire Valkyrie that I have, this is just a little bit tighter actually. I don't know if they changed something, tightened things up, but again, really happy with it. And I'll just bring down this whole belly plate thing here. And these ends right here, you just flip up and just kind of leave that down here for now. Like the other YF-19 toys, you do have to pop this part up and then bring it back on a little joint. Now for the cockpit, what you can do is after you unplug the nose, you actually, there's a sliding joint here that you just take it and you push it back in just a little bit. It's kind of hard to show and hard to manhandle on camera. And also, for the egress hatch gimmick in Bataroid mode, you actually open this up, flip the whole thing forward, and hope poor Gamlin, or not Gamlin, you're not cool like Gamlin. Nobody likes you, Docker. Gamlin likes you. And you actually leave this half open for the Bataroid mode. So this is all set up. Actually, let me just make sure. There it goes. So yeah, this is all set up for the rather iconic part, I like to say, of the VF-19's transformation. So I'm just going to unpeg top parts of the wings, and you just bring this whole thing up on this really nice heavy die-cast section. You actually can bring the head up and push it out. Okay, bring it up. And here we go. The whole thing comes up and over. And you're just going to snap the nose cone into the top part of the Batteroid mode. And just kind of fiddle it around so that you can get, there's actually a tab on this plate here that goes into the nose that helps everything stay in place. Yeah, everything just kind of has to get nicely aligned. This also fixes another problem that the YF-19 had, or the YF-19 toys by Yamato had, is there was no locking mechanism for the chest area. Oh, and I always forget, there's actually a little, this black piece right in there, it actually pushes in, it's a part of the nose, but doing the transformation actually does push the thing in itself. Okay, so just a couple more things. We are going to get the hips in the right position. What you do is there's a little button here that you kind of push in, and then you bring up the whole leg on a rotating joint. You can see the difference here is that this leg is not in the right position, this one is, so it actually brings the whole thing up closer to the body, giving it a bit more of a natural appearance. Okay. Alright, and lastly, obviously we do have to move these Kawamori approved hip thingies into place. They do have a sliding joint. You can see right here, this whole screwed in section here does slide out. So, just kind of get that off, and then I'll just show it does, in fact, slide out. Again, actually right here and up and around here, it's actually very, very sharp. So be very careful when you are handling the toy, because it will stab you. Not as much as the VF-27 by Bandai will stab you, but still. It's a bit of a love-hate relationship. Okay, so we're just gonna bring the knees back in and adjust up the crotch. So turn your head and cough. Okay. Bring the arms down. And just one last thing. The center head laser cannon right here actually does slide forward a little bit on a joint so that it gets into the proper position. Okay. And we'll just give him his gun again. Again, this thing is amazing. I'm really happy with the way that this piece turned out. It just feels right. Everything is solid. There's a good amount of die cast. I should just point it out real quick. This whole back plate is die cast right here. This whole sort of spine section here. The hinge here is die cast. Again, joints here are die cast. Joint in the arms are die cast. The little swing bars I put the hips up on are also die cast. There's really just it's where it needs to be, I feel, as far as where the die cast is. While the most of the outer panels are all this very, very nice blue. It's a very deep blue that, as far as I can tell, really matches the way it looks in the show itself, and it looks really nice in person. Cameras have a problem capturing it, but again, it looks really, really nice, and it's very, very shiny, just like the Fire Valkyrie. Due to how the tooling was made. They can't make this in a matte finish because of how it's made to come out of the molds, which is unfortunate for people who like something a bit more subdued and realistic, but I like this. It's a little boisterous, you know, it's very colorful. It looks like the futuristic version of the Blue Angels naval demonstration team, although this is the Emerald Force Valkyrie, which is of course a special forces fighter. And let's get a good look up at the head here. So there actually is a clear plastic red part for the visor, and it looks really nice, catches the light very well. As far as I can tell, there's no detailing under there, maybe just a basic little reflector piece or something like that. I don't know whether or not the VF-19S has eyes like the original YF-19 did underneath there, but still, it looks really cool. And one thing I do like is that you can actually rotate all of the lasers forward, so you can take some people down using the monitor turret. One thing though is that these things are actually just pegged in, so if you rotate them they might get dislodged, but just stick them right back in. And I'm just going to go over some basic articulation. I mean, you saw some of that in Garrock mode. You do have very, very tight, well, tight but smooth joints in the shoulders. You have full bicep, you've got the elbow, and what you can do, you can actually bring up the sleeve. Now you have a usable double joint. It does look a little unsightly from the side, but just, you know, cover it up, and hey, you know, looks pretty cool there. As we get down to the legs, this eschews the use of ball joints. Instead, it goes with a bunch of swivels. You have a swivel here to bring the leg out and in. You have the main swivel in the upper thigh, and you have the deliciously clicky knee joint, which gets a pretty deep bend, actually. It only gets this, well, actually it gets the pretty deep bend no matter what you do with it. And it just looks really nice. So if you want, you can actually get this guy into a lot of nice poses. Check the text review for the nice poses. And as a final nod to the whole anime accuracy thing, if you don't like the fact that there's some gaps here behind the thighs, they do give you a couple of fill-in pieces here that you just take, and then you... Oh, well, no, I had that on the right way. I don't really use these, actually. I didn't use them on the Fire Valkyrie too much, so I don't really use them on this thing either. I think it looks fine without them. Oh, and yeah, I am putting those on the wrong way. And these things aren't actually labeled either. How about that? Oh, okay. Yeah. No, I was putting on there. You know what? Whatever. They go in there. You can look on the text review. I'll be frustrated with this toy that I actually really like. But yeah, anyway. VF-19S Blazer Valkyrie. Amazing. I can't stress enough how nice this toy is. It's just feels great, it looks right on the shelf, poses well, you can do so much with it. It's just, this is great. And I would like to say you can do all this also with the Fire Valkyrie, so remember, it's all up to your personal preference which one of these two you really like. Again, if you got both of them, they complement each other very well because, you know, one's red and one's blue. So that always works. So really the only problem that I have with this is a couple of things, actually. First up, no fixed post hands. They stopped doing this past at the VF1 toys. I'd kind of like to see them again. You know, I thought they were really a good idea to have, you know, have fixed post hands to go with these articulated hands. I mean, these aren't bad, they do the job, but, you know, I like a nice solid fixed post hand for posing and stuff like that. This actually does use the same little port for connecting hands, and you can try to swap them out if you want, but it won't actually hold any the new gun pod, unfortunately. And just another thing is that they did not say they're going to make the super boosters for this toy, just because of the way that the whole thing locks together so tightly. There wasn't enough space for it or something like that. They're pretty minor in the show. They just kind of bother me because I would like to have them, because I like having my Valkyrie is as complete as possible, but not a huge deal. Not a lot of people care. I do. But anyway, I guess really the only big problem with this toy is with the yen being what it is, this toy is a lot more expensive than it should be. Or, not that it should be. Come on, we're friggin' toy buyers. We don't care about cost. But if you do, I would like to quote the eternal wisdom of Josh B. This thing is so great, just buy it! So yeah, this has been Andrew of CollectionDX reviewing another great Valkyrie toy by the guys at Yamato. Did you realize they've been sticking with this license for over 10 years now? That's dedication. Maybe to making money, maybe just because they like the license. I don't really know. So what do you think about this, Docker? Doka? I can't shout like Takahito Kiyasu.